All right, everybody. Hello, 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 hello. Day four of moving forward after being fired. Right. So everybody goes through garbage days. Life hits everybody like a semi truck sometimes. For me, last Friday, life hit me. I got fired. I got dismissed from probation. I was working for the state of Nevada. I got dismissed for hurting somebody's feelings by having a different opinion than they did. And instead of discussing it, debating it, and trying to figure out what's the best possible solution to the issue, they say, "Hey, we'll talk later." And the later talk is, we don't think you're a good fit. We're gonna go ahead and release you from probation. So sometimes in life, if you are working for somebody and you have a different perspective and you share that different perspective, you can be fired, and that's completely legal. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't get all those don't get your panties in a twist. I don't even know if you're allowed to say that or not. I was kind of thinking about it. Should I even say that? But don't worry about it. Don't get your bowels twisted up. All right. It's not the end of the world, especially nowadays. We are in the most amazing time to be unemployed. First of all, there's benefits freaking everywhere. If you want some freaking some health care, you could file for Medicaid. You can file for some kind of Obamacare plan type of thing, Affordable Care Act stuff. You could, there are benefit programs out there. If you really need something, you can find something. But on the flip side of that, besides asking for free stuff, there are so many job opportunities. I'm driving down the street to a job fair this morning, and I'm passing fast food joints. I'm passing banks, passing freaking banks. Furniture stores, retailers, gas stations, and all of them have hiring now. Come inside and apply. And they're publishing like the $15 an hour for a line cook at KFC. If you don't have a job and you want one or you need one, right? Those are two different things. I personally need a job that offers health insurance as fast as possible because my wife is pregnant, right? So that's why we're doing this every day a video thing about what I'm doing to move forward. Man, I was going to a job fair and I'm just passing all these signs. Freaking ridiculous. So it's a great time to be unemployed because you actually have options. There have been times in our history, recent times even, where if you wanted a job, you couldn't find one because nobody's freaking hiring. Now is not one of those times. I went to this job fair. There was 100 plus employers, at least 100 plus. I mean, it could have broke 150. I'm not 100% sure how many employers were there. It was definitely over 100. I walked inside of a convention center, tried to visit as many as possible. I feel like I walked 20 miles today. My hips hurt, my bones hurt, my joints are killing me. My doggies are barking. My feet are going crazy. That's what that saying means, by the way. And I found some really interesting stuff. So I'm going to share some of the information that I found, right? First of all, I found it extremely interesting that there seemed to be, I mean, I didn't count them, write them down, but seemed to be there was just as many employers that were at a job fair that worked for the public sector as there were employers for the private sector. What do I mean by that? There were just as many employers trying to gain some interest from potential job applicants that were employers for a city, county, state, or federal government agency. Right? That's public sector employment. There were just as many of those employers that there were private employers. And private employers are things like 7-Elevens, grocery stores, Pizza Huts, casinos, banks, whatever. Yeah, just as many. And, a lot of people, I saw the most amount of people behind the tables of government agencies. They were looking for public sector jobs. And what's surprising about that is there is no government sector job unless there's an emergency hiring authority approved by the governor for the state or by, I don't know who can approve emergency hires for federal sector or county sectors, but like state of Nevada jobs, it's actually very hard to hire somebody on the spot for any government, anything. You can't. Because there's so many laws about equality, so many laws about the hiring process that must be followed, background checks that must be completed. So that's why it surprised me, one, that there were so many government agencies at this hiring event. So, for example, every single agency that was related to the state of Nevada, every single one, and I'm not even kidding. There was at least 10, but I want to say there was like 25. But sometimes my mind, we all exaggerate things. We sometimes look back and it was, not as many as we thought. So I'm going to say there was at least 10, but I want to say there was like 25 of them. And all of these state agencies, first of all, they had more than one representative per table, right? So you're looking at like at least 2 government employees from all these agencies sitting in that room. There's a lot of tax dollars in that room that day, I'll tell you what. And all of them have to say the same thing. So this is what we do at this agency. And if you're interested in applying, go to this website. And it's the same website for everybody because it's the state of Nevada. It's not like each agency has a different website. No, there's only one. So your tax dollars are going to all these people from all the different departments to tell them to go to the same website because they can't hire on the spot. They can talk about their departments. They can talk about what they do on a day-to-day basis. So that way, if you don't know what Department of Agriculture does, you can ask them questions, right? And feel like, oh, is that something I'm going to be interested in? And that's always a very valuable thing. So don't get me wrong about that. But people were lining up, asking, what do you have available? I'm interested in a job. I came here to get hired. What do you have? And all of them have to say the same thing because they're public employers, because there's laws and requirements in place that make them have to send an applicant through the process equally, just like everybody else, right? They have to go through the bots in the applications process that filter through the resumes to pick out the keywords. And if you don't have the right number of keywords or you're saying the wrong thing, then you're automatically disqualified by some robot system. And everybody has to go through that. So all of these people are saying the same thing. Go to our careers website for the state. And they name the career website. And then it's careers.nv.gov if you're interested. So you got like at least 20 representatives of the state because they're different departments. At least 20 up to about 50 of these representatives all getting paid to sit there all day to tell people, hey, go to this website. And they're all telling them to go to the same freaking website. It's not even like they're giving them different opportunities of paths to employment. Nope. So I think it's hilarious because one person can do that job for everybody that's interested in state government employment. They can tell them which website to go to, what kind of benefits and preferences they offer for veterans or disabled individuals, or what kind of affirmative action plans they have. And and they can easily tell them, hey, these are all our different departments. They can have information about each one present. They can even set up like iPads with freaking videos, like play this if you want to learn more about the Department of Agriculture or Department of Health and Human Services or whatever, right? But no, they do it so old school. I'm telling you, that's why I got released from the state of Nevada, because I was trying to bring new ideas to all these old systemic issues where they just do things like they did in the 1980s. Like, blows my freaking mind, and I offered solutions to things and they would be like, we're going to go ahead and say you're not a good fit. You're bringing up these opinions that we don't have those same opinions. So we don't want people thinking differently than what we think like. Oh my goodness. It's so funny because honestly in that room there was a waste of, oh my God, $500,000 worth of salary in there. Taxpayers, man, you are losing your money. But anyways, then there were all these private employers. So first of all, public employers, if you ever go to a job fair and there's a public employer, a city, a county, a state, a federal agency, they're going to tell you to go to the federal website, look for a job and apply for it. And they'll answer any questions that you have. And honestly, you can just call any HR department from any state agency, and you could ask them questions anytime. You don't have to go to a job fair for those. You can't get a job at a job fair for a public sector job, agency, employer. No, because you have to be treated equally. And if you are hired on the spot, let me know, so that way I can sue them on behalf of everybody that wasn't hired on the spot for being treated differently. I can't sue them because I won't have standing to fire. They would have to say that I'm their representative, and it's a whole big thing. But yeah, people can sue them if they were to hire anybody on the spot, because they have broke so many rules and so many laws. So keep that in mind when you're at a job fair. I saw people lining up behind other people to ask government agencies about their opportunities. And that's a waste of your time. It really is. First of all, they're never going to tell you the truth. I've been in the government for so long. They're not going to tell you the truth. HR doesn't know what the people are doing on a day-to-day basis. And if you're lucky enough to go to a job fair where there's an actual representative for the position you are interested in, there's a reason they're there and not doing the job in the field. Keep that in mind. So, moving on. Public sector, it was fun to look at, fun to see, blah, blah, blah. I actually got another interview coming up next week for the state of Nevada, and the state of Nevada has released me twice this year from different positions. So that's freaking hilarious. I think I said that yesterday in yesterday's video. So I go to this job fair. So I start walking around to private employers, right? And found some interesting stuff. So found some really interesting stuff. I've never really worked for the private sector, not in a career capacity. I've worked, weird jobs, but never like a profession, right? And so I really found some interesting stuff. And you know what I found very strange to me? Almost everybody that I talk to, their health benefits kick in at the 90-day mark. I'm going to say the 60 to 90-day mark, because it's basically 90% of everybody I talked to was either 60 days or 90 days. So that means you work for an employer for 2 months without medical insurance. That blew my mind. With government agencies, public employment, the moment you start your job is the moment you're covered for medical insurance, life insurance, everything else. It gets backdated because you have to fill out the paperwork and there's time to get processed, but it usually gets backdated to the date in which you were hired. And so that way, if you had a medical emergency day one, you're still covered, right? But for private employers, unless your salary, there is salary jobs where it starts day one, which obviously I'm seeking out salary positions. But at the same time, I have a need, which is medical insurance. So I'm not going to just sit on my butt until I get offered a job for salary. I'm going to apply for salary jobs. And I'm going to focus, honestly, I've decided, I'm going to focus for salary positions with two companies. One is Caesars Entertainment, because I have a little soft spot for Caesars. I'm going to apply for MGM. Those are the two main casino owners out here. I'm going to apply to MGM because we got married. Me and my wife got married at the Bellagio, one of the MGM properties. We really enjoy the MGM properties, so we're going to apply there. I'm going to apply for salary positions related to the Cosmopolitan. Only casino that I know of that has purple dice. They have amazing restaurants, great culture in there. It's a great vibe. It's a good atmosphere. I would love to be a part of that. And then I didn't apply, and they didn't really give me an opportunity to apply. Like, they don't have a thing, but there's a company called Kemper. And if you don't know what Kemper is, it's a company that when you get in a car accident, they'll go out and determine, like, they'll process everything, right? Your insurance company doesn't actually do that. I mean, some insurance companies have people that they, go and assess whose fault it is or how much is going to be paid and assess damages and blah, blah, blah. But a lot of insurance carriers contract that out to a third party, and Kemper's one of these third parties, and they pay like $25 an hour. And I was like, what? That's how much money I was making at the state. I was like, dang, private employment's so much better. One casino was offering a $1,500 sign-on bonus for anybody hired as a guest room attendant. Those are the people that clean up the rooms after you leave. They're the ones that clean the toilets, they change the sheets, they pick up all your trash. You know, they're the ones that do that. $1,500 sign-on bonus. I was like, dang, they hurting. They really need some people in there. So I'm not even kidding. I looked twice at that. I'm like, I could use $1,500. But my back hurts too much for that. I don't want to deal with all that. Too many chemicals that I would be breathing, and I got enough problems. But so I thought that was an interesting common denominator about health insurance and when that starts, because now that's my focus, right? So that's all I'm asking questions about. That's all I'm saying. I did find 2 companies that offer health insurance day one, and they are actively hiring. One is actually not an actual business. It is a business, but they're an employment agency. And an employment agency, basically you get put on their books. They're like your agent. Okay. And so you go in and you basically agree to be their employee, and then they kind of pimp you out to different companies that need your services, your skill set, and you'll work for those companies for 30 days or whatever it is. And then if that company likes you and they want to keep you, they reach out to the employment agency and say, hey, we want to hire this person full time. And so the employment agency kind of has to release you, because they're your pimps and they're pimping you out. They got to release you, and the company pays the employment agency for finding you, right? They're like, hey, you did a great job. You found somebody that we actually like, is working out well. Thank you. Here's the money we're going to pay you for finding this person for us. And then you become an employee of that company, right? So then, you're the person that purchased, you basically get purchased, right? Like you get pimped out and then you get purchased by somebody. So that's kind of how that works. But it was interesting because I didn't know this. Employment agencies, at least this one's called Surge. They, once you do an in-person interview with them, so that way they can assess your skill set and assess whether or not you'd be a good fit for their clients and blah, blah, blah. But the moment you interview for them, you are technically their employee. And so from that day, you can be on their health insurance. I didn't know that. I had no idea. So I can get on somebody's health insurance without even working, right? Like I could not earn an income, but I can pay for health insurance at a group health insurance rate. So I thought that was very interesting. So I'm going to be reaching out to them and seeing if I could get that done immediately. Also, I found another company that is based out of England called Barclays. You might have heard that company name. But in America, they do a lot of consumer credit cards and consumer financing and fraud detection. And they offer health insurance on day one. So those are the two companies I'm going to apply for. Just so you know, that's what I did today. I got dogs barking. Somebody's here at the door. Take care. And we all have bad days. You're going to be okay. Okay? We're going to get through it. All right. Take care, everybody.